welcome you to our first commencement. We have had many big firsts during the course of this remarkable journey, but the graduation of our first class, this is a monumental rite of passage we have all been working toward with great anticipation. And today we send our first Thaden graduates into the world. Welcome to this moment, and welcome to this place. We believe that student learning is deeper and more enduring when rooted in a sense of place. And Crystal Bridges is where we planted our first seeds as we greeted the first members of the class of 2021 at the outset of their Thaden journey in August of 2017. What a place to begin, and now what a place to commence. Commencement, after all, is yet another beginning. And given that gratitude is a cardinal virtue at Thaden, we should begin our ceremonies with words of thanks, what we like to call Thaden props. Props to our funders, the extraordinary generosity of the Walton Family Foundation has enabled us to establish Thaden on a financial basis that makes it affordable, that makes this education affordable for all families in Northwest Arkansas. And our index tuition program has been a key engine in our efforts to recruit and retain great faculty and educational leaders locally, nationally, and even internationally. And props to our board of directors, especially our first two presidents, Karen Minkle and David Sloan, who have so generously supported me with their time, talent, patience, and wise counsel. They have been my riverboat pilots, and they have supported our school, along with all of the other directors, beautifully through these first 4 years. Really, 6 years we've been working on this, Karen. And props to our many institutional partners, beginning with Crystal Bridges, that have worked with us to create community-based programs through which our students really get to know their home region while applying skills, tools, and knowledge to address real challenges and issues in our community. And props to our faculty and staff who have come from far and near to join us in the founding of Thaden School. You are the lifeblood of our school. And that has never been clearer to me than over the past year as you stepped up to meet the challenges of the pandemic, redesigning courses and redesigning them again, developing new teaching methods, perfecting methods, reconfiguring teaching spaces, and most importantly, making supreme efforts to build, nurture, and maintain strong relationships with our students and to keep them progressing in their learning despite the isolating effects of the pandemic. Your efforts were nothing short of heroic this year. And props to the many spouses, partners, significant others, children, family members of our faculty and staff, many of whom relocated to Northwest Arkansas to make this school possible. And finally, of course, props to the families of our graduates. You took the ultimate leap of faith in allowing them to attend Thaden, a school with no history, no clear record of success. You made the ultimate leap of faith. Thank you. Without your support, your confidence, your trust, Thaden School would not exist. And now I would like to invite Christopher Broadus, class of 2021, to the podium to deliver our invocation.
Class of 2021 and honored guests, today is a momentous day. It does not stand alone, however. It has been born out of so many seemingly ordinary days and the many people who guided us through them. In honor of those days and of these people, many of whom are with us here today, we would like to open up with Elizabeth Alexander's praise song for the day, which encouraged us to honor the past and look with hope to the future. Praise Song for the Day by Elizabeth Alexander. Each day, we go about our business, walking past each other, catching each other's eyes, or not. Not about to speak, or speaking. All about us is noise. All about us is noise and bramble, thorn and then, each one of our ancestors on our tongues. Someone is stitching up a hem, darning a hole in a uniform, patching a tire, repairing the things in need of repair. Someone is trying to make music somewhere with a pair of wooden spoons on an oil drum, with cello, boombox, harmonica, voice. A woman and her son wait for the bus. A farmer considers the changing sky. A teacher says, "Take out your pencils. Begin." We encounter each other in words spiny or smooth, whispered or declaimed, words to consider, reconsider. We cross dirt roads and highways that mark the will of someone and then others, who said, "I need to see what's on the other side. I know there's something better down the road. We need to find a place where we are safe. We walk into that which we cannot see. Say it plain, that many have died for this day. Sing the names of the dead who brought us here, who laid the train tracks, raised the bridges, picked the cotton and the lettuce, built brick by brick the glittering edifices that they would keep clean and work inside of. Praise song for struggle, praise song for the day. Praise song for every hand-lettered sign, the figuring it out at kitchen tables. Some live by love thy neighbor as thyself. Others by first do no harm or take no more than you need. What if the mightiest word is love? Love beyond marital, filial, national love that casts a widening pool of light. Love with no need to preempt grievance. In today's sharp sparkle, this spring air, anything can be made, any sentence begun. On the brink, on the brim, on the cusp. Praise song for walking forward in the light.
Thank you, Chris. You know, as monumental as this day is, it's so important to remember that it's born out of the ordinary, all of the days that preceded it, all the days. Now I would like to invite Claire Wise and Sarah Orr to the stage to offer our first set of student reflections.
Hello, my name is Sarah Orr.
And I'm Claire Wise.
And we would like to start off by thanking the people who have helped us achieve our goals up to this point. to our parents, to our fellow classmates, and to our mentors, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. While it is truly saddening that the start of our new lives begins with a goodbye,
However, we are here to talk about our cherished memories. These past 4 years, we have taken countless trips across the country and right across the street, eaten many crepes, collectively procrastinated on major assignments. Sorry, Dr. Summers, we do love you. In 9th grade, we started out as strangers. There were a whopping 17 of us. We first met in a field, fighting off the pestering bugs in the August heat, while enjoying some decent barbecue and snow cones. I felt like some of the new Arkansan residents were doubting their choice of moving to the South. The next time we saw each other, we were not surrounded by, but very close to, some world-renowned art at Crystal Bridges. Even though we were in an architectural masterpiece, there was still no elevator that we were allowed to take to get to class. Instead, we trekked up and down that wretched hill every day. Needless to say, I am glad that we only have very, very small hills on our home campus. We saw a once-in-a-lifetime spectacle together in California, Missouri. Our next trip was to Kennedy Coffee for a study break, which was the same trip when most of us began to realize the far-stretching funds of the Thaden Black Card. We said our goodbyes to Crystal Bridges and moved on to our temporary campus. Here, we would watch people slip on the deck whenever it rained. Miss Benson break a window while defending the children from a terrorizing wasp. And look on as 7th graders would see how many stairs they could skip to get onto the field. In 10th grade, our numbers dwindled, but we had some awesome additions and our family grew. It wasn't too long before our new hub was plastered with Photoshop pictures of Noel and other student council candidate posters. In English class, we made Spotify playlists once we were done reading books. Mr. Slayton also introduced us to TR Whack during our poetry unit, which was pretty rad. In Governomics, we learned the importance of using incentives in order to get people to complete tasks. This came in handy whenever we were bargaining to have early release for seniors, so thank you, Ms. Bond. At the end of the year, we conquered the Rocky Mountains, took on the Big Apple, and battled LA traffic. We bid farewell to some OGs, as well as Dr. Marion. RIP, you were a great one. Junior year, new campus, new faces, new tiny people. We found our bearings together and soon discovered our favorite spots on campus, including Nurse Pam's office for the occasional power nap. We would gather in the hub to cram for upcoming vocab test in English or the occasional physics exam. I do believe those who stress together stay together, so you're all stuck with me. Junior year was also the year whenever we began our college searches. Our lists were made, college counselors were met, and eventually essays were written. Then the pandemic hit. I remember in late February when Nurse Pam gathered us in the Great Hall to talk about COVID. We chatted about how it never reached us. Well, we all know what happened on Friday the 13th. Soon, we went from hugging, high-fiving, and seeing each other to congregating in Zoom rooms every morning. It became harder for us all to turn in assignments on time, wake up more than 5 minutes before the school day began, and keep our cameras on as we began to join class in our pajamas. Senior year started through a screen. It didn't seem real. This major milestone began while we were still in our bedrooms. Eventually, we got to come back to campus. It was a happy day when I got to see everybody's masked faces. Hope began to blossom with talk of a vaccine on the horizon, and more of our friends returning to campus. We hopped from advisory room to chat with our friends, drew on the whiteboards, and would create brackets of who would win in a boxing tournament. We had our sports seasons, plays, proms, and now we're here, dressed in our caps and gowns, preparing to go forth into the big, big world.
While we have spent some time reflecting on the past, it is now time to look to the future and begin building our new lives. Here, we are at the beginning of the rest of our lives, with so many blank pages to fill. I want you all to leave today and make memories so great and so authentic that if the memories Claire just mentioned before, if their sole job is to hold up the new memories, they would collapse in their weight. And eventually, when you finally come back from living your lives, we can not only reminisce on our years together, but inspire each other with the lives we have since lived. However, don't think I'm going easy on y'all. At our 50th year reunion, I am demanding a written copy of all of your life's memoirs, and it better be at a minimum of 200 pages, and Mr. Slayton will be sitting in the back, drawing a discussion map, making sure everyone participates, to make sure everyone receives credit. In these memoirs, I want to not only read about Keith winning an Academy Award, and I better be in his speech, Keith. I want to read about Maddox and taking on the Beverly Hills real estate scene. I want to read about Catherine publishing her first book and her rise to fame as a prominent author. I want to read about Emma's engineering feats. And I want to read about Alicia's groundbreaking medical advances. Now that I've read those books, go out and live your lives that you've been dreaming about, and fill those pages until the binding of the book begins to break. This moment has always been our end goal. Now that it has come and passed, we should part our separate ways and create a bigger and brighter goals for the next stage of our life. We only have a short time on this earth, so fail, 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 and fail again, because you only need to succeed once to achieve the dream. However, don't stop there. Dream more and fight for those dreams with every being in your soul, because you got a lot of pages to fill.
Thank you so much for having us. And another thanks to all of our teachers, faculty, parents, and the board.
And good luck to all of my classmates, not that you'll need it. Today we say goodbye for the first time, but not the last. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Sarah. You know, after our first great American road trip to California, Missouri, to take in the totality of the solar eclipse, I knew you were all in. I think the totality returns in a couple years, and I hope you'll be back as we head, I think, down to Fort Smith to catch it on its next circuit. Earlier this spring, with our first commencement just around the corner, we knew it was high time to adopt an official motto, an official school motto that would make its first official appearance on the diplomas that we will present to our graduates this evening. So we formed a committee. We invited recommendations from the entire school community. We went into deep deliberations, consulting closely with the class of 2021 along the way. And the committee looked at many, many different possibilities, but emerged with the clear, unanimous choice: together we fly. And you can now see the motto on the back of your program, where together we fly is flying in English over its Latin roots, Ave Lamas Unum. And together they form a circle around our logo. Itself, whatever you want it to be, but I see a wheel on a string. I see a nod to our aviation roots. I see a reflection of our commitment to providing what we like to describe as a challenging and balanced education at Thaden. And the recommendations for the motto, I will tell you, were stripped of their nominators, or the people who had put them forward. They were just, we took them on their face. And after we had arrived at this motto, "Together we fly," I was sharing it with one of my colleagues, our director of technology, Jason Curtis, who said, "Well, yeah, I like that a lot," but he had a funny look in his face, and he said, "That was my nomination." So thank you, Jason. And of course, we selected the motto for many reasons. It is absolutely true to the spirit of our namesake, Louise Thaden. And during the deliberations, I recalled her remarks upon receiving the Harmon Trophy. This was in 1937, shortly after her historic victory in the Bendix race. She had traveled back to New York City to receive what at the time was aviation's highest honor. And her acceptance speech, which was broadcast live on the air from an Art Deco skyscraper high over Midtown Manhattan, her speech was so grounded with gratitude and humility and that beautiful Arkansan twang that she brings to any communication. We have her voice recorded, and it's just a beautiful thing to behold and to hear and to take in. And she begins her remarks, her acceptance speech, by recognizing the collective efforts that put her in the air and put her on the way to pioneering achievements in aviation. Here are her words at the outset of that speech. "The full significance of all that is represented in this Harmon Trophy has brought to me the realization that I cannot accept it for myself alone. I am only one part of all the individual efforts that made possible the accomplishments that led to this award. Many people labored on my plane, and it is for them, as well as for myself, that I accept this beautiful trophy." And in that respect, our new motto, "We fly together," is equally true to the spirit of this pioneering class of 2021. Together, you set Thaden School in motion with your first steps down that long, meandering pathway to our classrooms here on the water at Crystal Bridges, where, as I recall, an otter treated us to an aquatic show on the first day of our school, swimming along. Together, you incubated our first chickens, who rewarded your love with their first eggs on the first day of school in 2018. Together, you hatched our first school play, our first victories on the courts and playing fields, our first cycling teams, our first literary journal and yearbook, our first clubs, our first podcasts, which, by the way, garnered national recognition, our first rites of spring, senior camp out, junior senior prom, graduation dinner, and now, here you are, our first commencement. Together, you planted our flag on top of Mount Thaden, that tower of topsoil, and you were well trained from your journeys up and down the hills here. It was all by design, because I knew we would have this tower of topsoil on our West Campus construction site for the better part of a year, which of course ultimately found a home in the teaching gardens, where you cultivated the rosemary and the new potatoes that paired so nicely with the lamb entree in the 9th course of your graduation dinner. Together, you have sucked the marrow out of a Thaden education, devouring it with gusto and relish, devouring that challenging and balanced course after course of study, made to order by your teachers with love and imagination and a little bit of patience. You have brought to life with your curiosity, with your questions, the beauty and the purpose of mathematics, world languages, science and engineering, history and social sciences, the visual and creative arts, and the humanities. And together, you have set into motion the cycles, the interconnected cycles of our signature programs, wheels, meals, and reels. You've set them into motion. You walked out onto the wings of a crazy idea, and you made it real. You made it work. Together, you made it fly. You're makers at heart. And together, with open arms, you invited and welcomed new classmates and many, many other younger students to this table. As we grew from a school of 50, then to 100, then to 200, now to 250, and we continue to grow. And you welcomed them all with open arms. For 4 years, you have been our eldest students, and you have set the tone and direction for generations of barnstormers with the legacy of your adventurous spirit, leading the way for all of those younger eyes watching your every move. And together, you kept open minds and open hearts while engaging in civil dialogue at the center of the United States, navigating some of the most challenging issues of our time. Your civility and your kindness and respect for one another have been an inspiration for all of us, especially during the challenges of the past year. Together, also, at your first class retreat, you practiced and perfected our mission statement, reciting over and over and over again the words challenging and balanced while stuffing your mouths with marshmallows. Something I've gone home to try. This is challenging. It's not balanced. It's our version of the game known as Chubby Bunny. But most importantly, you have lived the words of our mission statement and have demonstrated to all that the diversity of our school community is essential to the quality of the education that we provide. You have learned to rise above self-interest and take broader views, bird's-eye views of the complexities and interdependencies and connections that make our world such a fascinating place to live. You have demonstrated that we fly, or in the Latin word evolumus, that we evolve by virtue of our differences, by virtue of our different points of view, that we bring together on our campus every day. That is the defining spirit of Thaden School, and it begins with this class. Evolumus unum, together we fly. Together you fly. And you are now about to fly in many different directions in search of many new possibilities, far and near. But you are not leaving Thaden. You are taking Thaden with you. We could not have hoped for a better class of ambassadors to take Thaden out into the world, to represent our school and our home region wherever you may go. Thaden will always unite you. Thaden is for life, come back early and come back often. Might as well use it. Thank you. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Terry Von Thaden, Louise Thaden's granddaughter. Our school may only be 4 years old, but we were born with a rich history, both by virtue of our namesake and our current campus location. For many years, as you know, it was the home of the Benton County Fair. And before that, it was the home of the high school that Louise McFetridge attended in the early 1920s. Now, we have found Louise McFetridge's, found her high school yearbook, and it suggests, and last night at dinner, Terry confirmed that Louise fully embraced the spirit of the Jazz Age. How perfect, then, that our seniors chose The Great Gatsby as the theme for our first prom. Of course, we must also remember the full history of that land, and that it originates with the Osage and other indigenous Americans who inhabited and cherished that land for thousands of years. History at Thaden is alive, and on this historic occasion, the celebration of our first graduates, I can think of no better guest speaker to connect us to our namesake than Terry Von Thaden. Terry is not just Louise Thaden's granddaughter, she is also a distinguished research scientist at the University of Illinois, where she holds appointments in psychology as well as industrial and enterprise systems engineering. Dr. Von Thaden brings her academic expertise to bear on real-world issues of human behavior and safety culture in high-risk, time-critical environments, such as aerospace transportation, emergency response, and the military. And Dr. Von Thaden has received numerous awards and honors for her work, including a special award from the United States Air Force for exceptional public service. Terry has also been a champion for Thaden School since I first approached her 6 years ago with the idea of naming it in honor of her grandmother. She has followed our progress with keen interest and at critical moments has offered insight and moral support that has enabled me to lead the founding of Thaden School in a way that is true to Thaden family values and the legacy of our Louise. Terry, we're honored that you could be here on this occasion to represent your family and to address our first graduates. Please join me in welcoming Terry Von Thaden to the podium.
Thank you for the lovely welcome. I'll have to try and get in the right place here. I'm delighted to be here to represent the family. Louise and Herb had 2 children, Bill and Patsy. I am Bill's daughter, and I have a sister, Tracy. My father passed away in 2012, but I can guarantee you he would have moved back to Bentonville at the beginning of Thaden School, and he would have roamed your halls. Patsy just passed away a couple of months ago, and it was a wish of her to get out here, but she was just too frail in her last years to travel. She has 2 children, Fred and Nancy, and hopefully they'll get out here someday. But I want you to know that I have the great pleasure of representing the family. I've spoken in a number of vast venues, and I can deliver a talk without wavering. I'm well-trained. I know how to compartmentalize. I've spoken in front of heads of states. I've debriefed the Joint Chiefs of Staff at the Pentagon. I've delivered my father's eulogy, and a couple of years ago, I delivered my husband's eulogy. But right now, I'm wavering, and you can hear it, because this means something entirely different, and it's entirely special to our family. So my voice might crack a little, but please bear with me. I'm not going to apologize. I got to let the feels come. You know how that goes. So it's my great honor to represent the Thaden family at this first commencement. Our family's dwindled over the years. It's down to my son and daughter as the last in line. But you see here now and in front of you, I can see our future expanding again and growing. We're growing in numbers thanks to all of you. The first. I've thought about what it means to be first. Louise was a first. First woman to hold speed, endurance, and altitude records at the same time. The first woman to win a major competitive air race for women. The first woman to win a race set against both men and women, winning the entire thing, by the way. But being first isn't always about winning. It's about being part of something greater than yourself. It's about having a vision, daring greatly, taking the first steps, being bold enough to adapt when you have to. It's about overcoming and evolving. That's what being first is, it's evolving. So while Louise had many firsts, she also had her fair share of failures. But they were opportunities to adapt and change, to evolve. And while she graduated high school early, she started going to the University of Arkansas, and she couldn't settle into a major. There were so many things she wanted to do and so many things she thought about doing, but aviation was the big one she thought about, and women couldn't be pilots. So after 3 years, she dropped out. She didn't finish college. And I think if your vision doesn't take you there, it's not where you belong. You have to go where you decide you belong, and that's what Louise did. She was told many times throughout her life that she didn't belong, but she dared to say she did. When she couldn't find work air racing, she was a first with a group of women to work with the government to build the air marking system, which marked barns and silos across the nation, providing navigational aids for pilots. When she retired from air racing, she built the first women's program at the Penn School of Aviation so that women could no longer be told that they didn't belong in aviation. She served her country on the Defense Advisory Council for Women in the Services. She rose to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel in the Civil Air Patrol. Throughout her life, she adapted and she overcame. She evolved. And while throughout her life, she never stopped flying, and I mean, I have memories of her when she was in her 70s, and I was in the back of the airplane, and they were perfect short-field landings every time. She had skill. And I've thought about what her legacies meant in my life, and while I'm not here to talk about myself, I'm going to give you a little aside, just so you can see. Louise's journey and my journey were very similar. I graduated high school early. I too left for college. And after 3 years, I couldn't get it together. So I left. I went to a trade school. earned a degree in clothing design, and worked in that field for a number of years. Still, my mind was set in the air as well. So in my late 20s, I went back to school and got an aviation degree. And that was on my nickel, because my dad said, I ain't doing this anymore. Within that, though, I'd always thought about accident investigation and things like that, and I thought that was beyond me. I thought, well, that's for smart people. It's not going to be me. And one day I was out at the airport, and there was a fatal crash in front of us, and that changed my path in life. And I went back to school again. So in my early 30s, I earned a master's degree in human factors, and that would lead me in other directions. I went back to Washington, D.C., and somebody told me I couldn't have the job that I was completely qualified for. I was pregnant at the time, and I was told, just go home and have that baby. Come back later. So I said, well, if I'm going to be spending time at home, I'm going to go back and get another degree, because they're not going to tell me no. So in 2004, at the age of 40, I finished my doctorate. I even had family members make fun of me. Is she ever going to get out of school? Right. And that's limiting language. We're not limited. We're only limited by ourselves. I've had a wonderful career full of adaptations, evolving, and setting my own agenda. And I want to tell you something. In 2019, I went back to school again. Yep. Back in school, I'm getting a master's degree in social work to work in clinical trauma. So at the tender age of 56, I'm going to finish this degree in December after my residency, and I'm going to work in another area that I really want to work in. And people have been incredulous. They're like, you're a doctor. Why are you getting a master's degree? And I've had those naysayers again, too. You're just a professional student, aren't you? And I look at them, and I say, yes, yes I am. I don't think we should ever stop learning and growing and adapting and overcoming and evolving. And I don't think you think so either. I think you all have dreams, and they're not just one thing. And it looks different for every one of us. So take that step. We don't have to be perfect. None of us are. But we do have to show up. And if you find a door closing in your face and someone telling you you can't do something, you knock that thing down. You show them what you're made of. You show them where you came from. And in this time of social distancing, social media, social distortion, I look at you beautiful people, and I look at your diversity, your individuality, and your unity, and I think you're extraordinary. You right now in your life, you are the agents of social change. I've learned so much from you. You're the generation who truly lives diversity. They're not just words. You're the generation that lives individuality, and you live unity. You're changing our world, and we're learning from you. You're already practiced in social activism, and as Thadens, I pray you bring us all social health and social fusion. The world doesn't know that you're limitless, but you're going to show up, and you're going to let them know. And when you show up, I want you to dare greatly. I want you to be bold, and I want you to be Thadens. Life's about to take off at Mach speed for you, and you're prepared. You're going to learn more over the next few years, absolutely. Will you continue to learn more your entire life? That's my greatest wish for you. I've walked the halls at Thaden School. I've eaten meals there. I've read your words. I've admired your art. I lurk on the Facebook page, so I know who you are. I saw that awesome send-off the other night. Yes. Yes. I put a heart next to that one, okay? And if, but not when, no, not if, but when, a door gets slammed in your face, or you question how you can endure hard, everything that life brings at you, look me up. I know you can find me. I know you know how to use that internet thing. And I'm going to remind you, you beautiful souls, where you came from and who you are and where you graduated from as firsts. I'm going to remind you that you're Thadens and that you've got this. So welcome to the family. So before I yield, and I promise you I will, I wanted to channel Louise, and I didn't know how I was going to do it today. And so this shirt I'm wearing is her shirt. And at 91 years old, I am super glad the buttons held up because I didn't know what I was going to do. This ring on my finger, if you look at your picture underneath the Thaden irises, is the ring on her finger. It's her engagement ring given to her by her then fiance, Herbert von Taden, in 1929. She was super proud of it, so you notice it plays a really featured role as she's got her hand outside of that cockpit. And this book I'm holding in my hand, since we're on talking about firsts, this is a first edition, 1938, first copy of Louise's first autobiography, High, Wide, and Frightened. She gave it to her cousin Elizabeth and her husband Claire, and she wrote in it, "It's for the fellers." You got to have that hometown language. It's well worn, it's busted up a little bit, but the pages have held up beautifully. My favorite part about it is that there's a teacup stain on the front. It was given to me in 1994 by Elizabeth when I drove cross-country with my father, an old car and an old dog, and we stopped to see the old relatives. And I break it out every now and then, and I rub my hand over it because I want to feel their energy. And I'll just pop it open and read one page and feel Louise's humility and her courage and her humor. And this book's traveled with me across the country. And it's sat on my bookshelf for the past few years, and I'm getting really tired of dusting, I'll tell you that. So Dr. Clayton Marsh, would you step up here, please? If you would do me the honor, please, of reading the inside cover.
This is High, Wide, and Frightened by Louise Thaden. To founding headmaster Clayton Marsh and Thaden School, the thinkers, explorers, builders.
I'm a doctor, you can't read my writing.
Supporters, creators, and visionaries, and mentors. May this book serve as a touchstone to all those who pass through these halls, a gateway collecting the past to the future. May they always reach to you. May they always reach beyond what's expected. With unbounded appreciation, Terry von Thaden, granddaughter of Louise Thaden, 14 May 2021, on the occasion of Thaden School's first commencement Together we fly. Terry, thank you so much. And I'm telling you, when she says she's there for you, Terry means it. She means it. You've been there for us in key moments. Thank you so much. What a beautiful, beautiful book. And we have a library. This goes in the Our Story project. Beautiful. I'm sorry I mangled the inscription. Oh, this is just incredible. I love it. We're channeling right now. Where were we? We have another pair of student reflections. Please welcome to the stage Noel Wade and Catherine Lowe.
Hello, I'm Noel.
Hi, I'm Catherine. In honor of the very special hats that we are all wearing today, we would like to take a moment to reflect on some of the other hats that we've worn as Thaden students. The first and most obvious is the student hat. We've spent over 4,000 hours of high school wearing it, and it's seen us through our proudest academic moments and weathered with us through the rainiest of days. Under this hat, we've been to every corner of the country and of Northwest Arkansas, the U of A Innovation Lab, Fort Smith, Kansas City, Denver, West Coast, and East Coast, and back home to the 8th Street Market and our North Hall advisory rooms. We've made Instagrams for polygons, we've read The Tempest and True Grit and Frankenstein, the Scottish play, Herland, and we sped read through The Grapes of Wrath with Mr. Slayton. Took about 2 weeks. We learned how to say salve and ni hao and hola, and for some people, all three. We made cringy videos that Mr. Lee is still holding hostage. We've learned about the tiniest of atoms and the vast complexities of world history.
A second cap we wore is a community member. In our Thaden community, the family-style lunches had us packing our plates to the point we would do it at restaurants too. On the temporary campus, we created 2 murals, one that featured the fierce barn owl and the other displaying the Thaden plain in 4 environments. We facilitated civil discourse between our community at the local library. We filled out each other's Google Forms and paid close attention to each other's presentations about why butterflies are deadly. We attended SDLC, a conference with the purpose of making our school and the surrounding community more inclusive. We learned why sharrows are terrible and why buffered bike lanes are so much better. Thank you, Mr. Slayton. Some of us added a filmmaker's hat to the pile, directing, editing, and filming local documentaries and NWA profiles. We work as baristas, waitresses, waiters, hosts, Walmart employees, and the list goes on.
We also wore the friend hat. We danced, all 10 of us, on the deck on the temporary campus during our freshman spring formal. We went to crepes and heroes together. We've studied and stressed and celebrated together. Our parties have upgraded a bit, and we started a mosh pit at prom to Time of Our Lives by Pitbull and Neo. Everyone else watched with sparklers and champagne glasses full of M&Ms in hand and danced to Spice Girls, while Miss Harris served as our bartender in full 1920s fashion. We don't just see each other in our Thaden shirts, though. We visit each other at work in between rushes. A shout out to Chris, Sarah, Claire, Emma, Jackie, Maddox, and Ashlyn for visiting me. You made those shifts so much more fun. We've all grown up so much in these past 4 years, and I'm so proud of the people we've become.
We've worn the hats of UN delegates. Catherine and I have been wearing this hat since before Thaden, and we've gotten the chance to share it with so many of you. We learned how to be diplomats, researchers, and masters of debate. Mr. Lee made sure we knew how to tie our ties properly, that we looked sharp in suits we stuffed in duffel bags and backpacks, and always made sure we ate too much food. By the way, thank you, Mr. Lee, for buying me Pepto-Bismol last year in Kansas City. We still had this hat on when we watched Superstar in Little Rock or Sarah played K-pop on the way back from Conway, and somewhere between Kansas City and Bentonville when we were wearing a mix of formal attire and PJs at a Burger King around 10 p.m. Shout out to Marcus, Will, Keith, Joe, and Gunnar for being my roommates on any trip. Y'all always had me dying from laughter.
Every club and organization is unique and meaningful. We couldn't all be in the Great Thaden Art Challenge, and not everyone here got to help paint those murals. We haven't all been in one of Aiden's D&D campaigns or survived Theater Tech Week. We didn't all get to go to Flippin, Arkansas for a Quiz Bowl tournament or to All Region for choir, but everything we've done here matters.
We were all Bear Grylls for a Thursday night at Kohler Park.
We all channeled our inner Mrs. Lynn when we planted the food for our senior dinner.
We put on our LeBron James hats whenever we did a physical activity.
We put on our Broadway hats for our rendition of Grease the musical.
And now, finally, we wear the hats of graduates.
So thank you to our class of 2021 for always supporting each other.
Thank you to our teachers for pushing us through the year and making sure we graduated.
Thank you to all the admins, and thank you especially to Dr. Marsh for your eternal optimism.
Thank you, Miss Mindy and Miss Bonham, for putting this and numerous other events together.
Thank you to everyone who keeps Thaden running behind the scenes. We appreciate you so much.
And thank you to all of our family and friends for always supporting us.
So now we only have one more thing to say. Congratulations, class of 2021. We did it.
And now the moment has arrived, the conferral of the diplomas. I'm delighted to announce that earlier today, Ms. Bond and Ms. Bonham confirmed that all courses have been completed, all requirements fulfilled, and that we are now free and clear to present the diplomas to the great class of 2021. We have here to catch the moment, Kitling, our first photographer. So we hope that you can enjoy the moment and not approach the stage to do photographs or take photographs. There'll be many opportunities for that. And now let's get to work. I would like for my colleagues to join me, Michael Malloy, Lisa Hirschbach, and Jose Leonor in the presentation of the diplomas.
William Aiden Ayers.
Keith Berlanga.
Hit that tassel, hit the tassel.
Christopher Broadus.
Colton Cash.
Oh, there.
Alexander Crisco.
Ashlyn Darling.
Jackie Davis.
Ariel Dickerson.
Great job.
Avery Escajeda.
Joseph Fahey.
Dallin Jones.
William Maddox Lee.
Evan Levine.
Catherine Lowe.
Emma McGregor.
William Munchow.
Ethan Olivas Bartels.
Sarah Orr.
Savannah Peters.
Caitlin Poltak.
William Sheeland.
Alicia Shahriar.
June Young Song.
Marcus Teo.
Hayden Thompson.
Shayla Tucker.
Noel Wade.
Claire Wise.
Well done, well done. And now that you have your diplomas in hand, you are officially alumni of Thaden School. So start watching your mail. In fact, in all seriousness, in the coming week, I will be inviting you to join me on campus for your first alumni gathering. And we will take that opportunity to give to you, to present to you these beautiful class pins that bear the school seal and motto. And we will also take that opportunity to share with you our exciting new plans for the launch of a program for Thaden graduates that will allow us to stay connected, to support your progress, to follow your progress. Thaden is for life. We aren't going to let go of you that easily. And I'm excited to bring you into the loop on this new program that we're designing. I think it's going to be fantastic and very, very special part of the Thaden experience. Now, before we close with our salutation, just a few parting words of thanks and a few reminders. First, please join me once again in giving a huge round of applause to our event team, our student speakers and readers, and all of those who have worked so hard to plan and deliver our commencement ceremony this evening. You know, as a new school, we have been cooking from scratch, and it's delicious, it's meaningful, but it's not always easy. And a couple of folks on our team who deserve particular shout-outs. We have in the parent section, Mindy Thompson, who we tried to take it easy on you, Mindy. And so many others were contributing to this team effort. Kathy Applegate was there to connect dots, pick up people, make sure it all worked. Kate Chambers lovingly steamed each of the roads. And our whole event team, from Rumble Drum and our hosts here at Crystal Bridges, making this experience work seamlessly for us this evening. Jason Curtis, our Director of Technology, and for the motto. and our Director of Finance and Operations, Kim Strickland, at the helm. And I'm sure I'm forgetting many, many people who helped deliver this extraordinarily beautiful and meaningful day for us. Following the ceremony, weather is now permitting? No? We're in the lobby. Okay. We had planned to go out onto the south lawn. Instead, we'll be in the south lobby for a brief reception. The families of our graduates will also find there on a table the Thaden Heritage Irises, which are described in the program insert. We love this as an expression of our living history. If you want to leave your iris here with us, we will happily give it a wonderful home in the garden at McFetridge House that we will create this spring and dedicate in the following year. Now, I am pleased to invite to the stage Aidan Ayres, who will deliver our salutation.
Commencement not only marks the end of high school, but also the beginning of a new journey. As we commemorate this momentous occasion, it's far too easy to focus on the end of the journey, rather than the journey itself. To help us celebrate the amazing journeys, past, present, and future, of the class of 2021, we would like to close with the poem Ithaca by Constantine Cavafy. The poem is inspired by Homer's epic, the Odyssey, which depicts Odysseus' return to his home island, Ithaca. Congratulations to the class of 2021. May all our journeys be long, fruitful, and full of adventure. Ithaca by Constantine Cavafy. As you set out for Ithaca, hope your road is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery. Lystragonians, Cyclops, angry Poseidon, don't be afraid of them. You'll never find things like that on your way, as long as you keep your thoughts raised high, as long as a rare excitement stirs your spirit and your body. Lystragonians, Cyclops, wild Poseidon, you won't encounter them unless you bring them along inside your soul, unless your soul sets them up in front of you. Hope your road is a long one. May there be many summer mornings when, with what pleasure, what joy, you enter harbors you're seeing for the first time. May you stop at Phoenician trading stations to buy fine things, mother of pearl and coral, amber and ebony, sensual perfume of every kind, as many sensual perfumes as you can. And may you visit many Egyptian cities to learn and go on learning from their scholars. Keep Ithaca always in your mind. Arriving there is what you're destined for. But don't hurry the journey at all. Better if it lasts for years, so you're old by the time you reach the island, wealthy with all you've gained on the way, not expecting Ithaca to make you rich. Ithaca gave you the marvelous journey. Without her, you wouldn't have set out. She has nothing left to give you now. And if you find her poor, Ithaca won't have fooled you. Wise as you will have become, so full of experience, you'll have understood by then what these Ithacas mean.
Thank you, Aidan. I love the selection. Certainly for me, one of the happiest memories in my Thaden journey has been teaching the Odyssey in grade 9, beginning with the class of 2021 and the trailers. Those were great days, and this was a great way to close our proceedings with that reading, the Cavafy poem. Beautiful, well done. Copies of both poems will be available on tables outside for your enjoyment later on. But now I would invite the class to rise and face everyone and remove your hats. Please join me in giving the class of 2021 another round of applause. Together, they fly.